Hello, friends. Happy Sunday. Welcome in to our Sunday night live Q&A. Today, we are doing this for the benefit of the United Way of the Fox Cities. And before I get here, I have to mute my other screen. I just want to make sure I can keep track of the donations. But we're doing this for the United Way of the Fox Cities. The United Way of the Fox Cities is doing a tremendous job in helping victims of the devastating tornado in Menasha and the Appleton area. I wanted to do something. Obviously, it's very close to home. And I remember waking up that day and there was a tornado warning for us here where I am, which is about an hour-ish north of where the tornadoes hit, 45 minutes to an hour. And, in general classic fashion, you get tornado warning. Our county had a tornado warning. We weren't getting sirens by us or anything, but you don't think much of it. You go through tornado watches and warnings through the entirety of your life and nothing usually ever happens and you don't think much of it. And we, for us here, thankfully did not get anything that came our way. It went south. And then all of a sudden you hear that a tornado touchdown in the Appleton Menasha area. And even then you're thinking, all right, maybe a touchdown for a second, went back up and there was much ado about nothing. But seeing the pictures and the images and the devastation in that area, it really just brought things, A, so close to home, and B, I just felt awful. I know when we get storms here, we're a little bit north of Green Bay, and we lose power quite a bit. And I remember, I'm always just, pissed off, quite frankly, that all the power's out and can't get things done the way that I want to. And it's such an inconvenience when the power's out for like 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it ends up being. I can't even imagine a storm coming through and the power is the least of your worries. You don't have a house. You don't have a home. You lost all your possessions. You lost your vehicle. You lost and just have to start over from scratch. It is, I can't even fathom what that experience must be like. And there've been a lot of amazing people. Brian Butch, former Wisconsin Badger basketball player. Shout out to him. He put on a basketball tournament last Wednesday or Thursday in Appleton, 2-hour camp for kids, donation only, didn't charge anything for it, raised a bunch of money for the area. And there's just been so many people that have been doing so many amazing things and certainly wanted to help out in any way that I could as well. So if you'd be ever so kind, we have a goal of $1,000 today. That'd be amazing. Every commercial today, every bit of ad revenue, and actually we won't have any sort of prize picks or Luigi's, ad reads or anything like that today. I love both of them. No Habish Roads here. Love them too. This is just going to be everything for United Way. Any ad revenue from YouTube today will go directly towards this, 100%. So we will turn everything that is joint. Any super chats will go towards the United Way. Anything that is earned from this show today, period, end of story, will go directly to the United Way. If you want that direct payment right to the United Way and don't have to use me as the middleman, you can click donate now right on the YouTube channel, and that eliminates me entirely. That just goes right to the United Way. And so, yeah, that can eliminate it. But again, any ad reads, not ad reads, but any ads that go on through YouTube or any super chats, anything like that, stickers, etc., will donate directly to the United Way of the Fox Cities. So happy to help them today in any way that I can. I will be here for 2 hours. We'll try to get everything done within that 2 hours and hopefully raise $1,000, hopefully raise more than $1,000. Thank you to those who have already donated. We've got $220 just in the donate now portion. So that's incredible. But we'll go probably about 2 hours today. We'll talk a little bit about camp at the beginning, and then I'm going to get to every single one of your questions over the course of the next couple hours or so. So buckle in. Should be a fun time. Appreciate those of you who have already got some jewels and super chats in. Thank you for that as well. Jewels will also go towards the United Way today as well. So I appreciate you guys. Just really quick. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack a Day Podcast. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll start with training camp today. Obviously, tomorrow's show will break down everything in its entirety, and we'll break down all the stuff that happened. But a lot of injury updates today, which was some good news, some not so great news. So first of all, they've got a new wide receiver, Keyshawn Johnson, not the Keyshawn Johnson, but a different Keyshawn Johnson. He was there at practice. Both Marlon Jones and Jonathan Baldwin were waived injured, and unfortunate for both of them. Both of them, I think, had pick sixes early in camp. I know for sure Marlon Jones did. I want to say Baldwin did as well. If not, it was just a really nice maybe it was just a really nice interception for Baldwin. But Baldwin especially had a really nice start to training camp. But as I tweeted out, when you are a young, UDFA type player, kind of back of the roster player, even if you are having a great camp or in competition for one of those spots, any sort of injury like that is it's a death sentence for your opportunity to make the team. There are good young players. I go back even to like a 7th round pick and like Grant Dubose. I think his injury right away that happened just derailed him so much. Rookie injuries are devastating. Any injury is devastating. Rookie injuries are extremely devastating. And rookie injuries, when you are the 70th, 75th, 80th guy on a 91-man roster, it just completely undercuts you entirely. And unfortunately for Marlon Jones and Jonathan Baldwin, two players that certainly Baldwin would have been in conversation for maybe being a fringe 53 guy and for sure in a conversation for a practice squad spot. And Marlon Jones, I think, would have been able to get in that conversation for a practice squad spot as well. Now they're both waived injured. It does not mean that they are gone forever. Once they're waived injured, nobody's going to claim them. And once that happens, they'll revert to injured reserve. And then Green Bay will have the choice if they want to keep them on IR for the year and bring them back next year, or if they want to reach an injury settlement with them. Partially, that's true. If they are healthy in like 6 weeks, then you have to get the injury settlement. You can't just keep them on IR against their will, things like that. But my guess is all like those two, RJ Maryland, Luke Lachey, will probably get injury settlements at some point in time. So disappointing there. As far as the other injury updates go, the new injuries, Zaire Franklin did not practice with the team. That one's fine. He's fine. He's totally fine. He attended the Hall of Fame ceremony because he knew Adam Vinatieri. So he wanted to go to that. And the Packers allowed him to do so. And because he just got back, they didn't want him to practice right away. We're just being extra cautious with it. So Zaire Franklin's going to be totally fine. Matthew Golden out with a toe injury. Hopefully that's not turf toe or anything like that. Hopefully it's something minor. Jaden Reed has an ankle injury. Hopefully it's not like a high ankle sprain or anything like that. We just don't know at this point. Edgerrin Cooper has a foot injury. Don't know the exact extent of that. And then Josh Wiley is a neck injury. The tight end position just beyond cursed right now. Those guys cannot stay healthy. So Golden, Reed, Cooper, and Wiley were the new injuries. Matt LaFleur did say prior to practice that there were no long-term injury concerns. However, what I will add, when he was asked if there was any long-term injury concerns, he had like a pause to him, almost like there was some sort of bad news, but he decided to keep it simple and just say, and I'm just reading between the lines here. I have no idea. 1,000,000,000%. I'm not like hinting at something that I know and I can't say it. I promise you there's nothing like that. But just his answer to it, if you go and watch it, was like, he kind of paused and hesitated and he's like, nothing long-term. And long-term is so vague, right? Technically 7 months isn't that long, but the season's over by the time a 7-month injury is done, right? So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. Hopefully we get some good news on all these injured players. We did get some good news. Chris Brooks returned to practice, which was great. Javon Hargrave returned to practice, which was great. Great seeing both of those guys out there. And then Devontae Wyatt and Zach Bako-Boele both returned to doing team and drills. So they were actually out there in the team activities. Great to see both of those guys practicing in that environment. So Zach Bako-Boele and Devontae Wyatt back in team. Javon Hargrave and Chris Brooks back in individual. But again, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Edgerrin Cooper, and Josh Wiley all went to the injured list, or not injured list, but were off to the side with injuries. And Zaire Franklin, again, just because he traveled, was precautionary. Two, I guess, other pieces of good news. Brandon Cisse and Chris McClellan were two players who kind of got taken out at the end of practice, and there was maybe some, slight injury concern there. They were both practicing, doing team activities and everything like that. So didn't seem like anything major there for them. And then the other big one that I wanted to go over, or just thing from practice that I wanted to go over, Savion freaking Williams. And these are the things that I love, because if anyone watched the show today, I went through my, the stock up, stock down for everybody in training camp so far. And there's probably 15 guys stock up, 15 guys stock down. And my number one guy I went over for stock down was Savion Williams. And my goodness, did he decide to make me look silly today? Because Savion Williams had an unbelievable day. Caught an absolute moonshot from Kyle McCord, probably like a 60, 70-yard touchdown on that play with like 60 yards in the air. A nice route by Williams and just great hands catch at the end. He had multiple catches with the ones from Jordan Love, including an out route, including one over the middle. And sit down for a moment. He had an end around today. It was either an end around or a jet sweep or a pop pass. I didn't exactly see what the mechanics of it were in general, but it was a sweep to the outside and it gained not only positive yardage, probably like 12, 15 yards on the play. So we finally had a successful Xavier Williams outside run play, which, just is a sign that everything was going Savion Williams' way. He had a phenomenal day at practice. In fact, it was probably one of the the most noteworthy days from any player in any day of camp so far. That's how good he was on this particular day. He had a deep post that he caught too, which would have gone for a significant gain. I forgot about that one. So really, really great day for Savion Williams, and then a variety of injury updates. Actually, one other thing I did want to go over, a couple potential demotions and or new, competition is what I would put it as. On the offensive line, Anthony Belton, not with the ones. All right. So it was Zach Bacco-Boele, now at right tackle, with the ones. And then, of course, Jordan Morgan at left tackle. It was Sean Ryan at center. And the guards were Jager Burton at left guard and Jacob Monk at right guard. This is coming after Matt LaFleur's comments that Burton and Monk are starting to fight for potential starting snaps. And so it seems like a three-way race at right guard potentially between Jager Burton, Jacob Monk, and Anthony Belton. And today it felt like Jacob Monk was not only ahead of Anthony Belton, but I would say that's the name, maybe even a little bit more to keep an eye on. The reason I say that is when Burton was kind of getting some reps at guard and Monk was getting reps at left guard, they could have put Burton at right guard and they could have put Monk at right guard. And instead, the one they went with was Monk. And they probably knew, right? Like Aaron Banks is going to be the starter at left guard. And the right guard one was probably the one that was up for grabs. So I assume there had to be some conscientious decision when they immediately put, Monk to right guard, that maybe they were a little bit higher on him to fill that spot. But it legitimately does seem like not only is this a competition now, it might be Jacob Monk's or it just is up for grabs. And it might be Anthony Belton, who is the odd man out there. We'll see what comes of that. Anthony Belton did get some reps later at right tackle with the ones, just giving Zach Bacco-Boele some rest towards the end of practice and not having him go a full practice in team. But that right guard spot now seems to be potentially a triple threat match for the right to be the starting right guard, and keep a real close eye on Jacob Monk for that spot. The other one, and if you hear a big bang coming from the North Dakota area, that's Ross Uglum popping a champagne bottle. Keyshawn Nixon initially for the day did start with the ones, and the very first team rep started with the ones. Very quickly after that, it was Benjamin St. Juste and Brandon Cisse with the ones. That in and of itself would not have been anything super noteworthy because they have rotated those guys a little bit in the past. The thing that was super noteworthy was Keyshawn Nixon actually was working with the twos. So there was a period where St. Juste and Cisse were with the ones, and it was Jalen Simpson and Nixon with the twos. A little bit later, St. Juste went back with the twos and Nixon went with the ones. But there was legitimately, I would say, at least a small demotion and a legitimate increase in the competition for that corner spot, with Benjamin St. Juste getting more time with the ones and Nixon for the first time working with the twos. So that is a very noteworthy development as well. So few players now out hurt, few players back from the injured list. Savion Williams, huge day. And of course, the potential demotions of Belton and Nixon, with the potential promotions of guys like Jager Burton, Jacob Monk, one of those two. And it kind of seems like Monk, and then Benjamin St. Juste on the defensive side. So there's actually a lot that we had to go over, or that we will be going over tomorrow with practice. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Again, tomorrow's show will break down absolutely everything that happened at practice today. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. But with that, we will get to, oh my goodness, all of your incredible questions. And what's so incredible already is that just in the fundraiser alone, we've already reached $714. So you guys are absolutely amazing. That doesn't even include any super chats. That does not even include any ad revenue from today. That's just a straight up $734 of donated money. So thank you guys so much for that. That's incredible. I honestly feel probably already that just in general, we'll for sure get to $1,000 just even if we stopped it right now. So yeah, this is incredible. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to see really quick if I can go through everybody that donated. Zilch donated $100. Dragon Scale 50. Andrew Kraut did 5. Steve Ovino did 10. John Dumholt did 5. Anonymous with 15. Adam Stanky with 20. Anonymous with 20. Jake Summer with 10. Anonymous with 50. Anonymous with 20. Anonymous with 5. Dua Lipa with 100. Thank you, Dua Lipa. Anonymous with 20. Let's see. Anonymous with 200. Thank you so much, guys. Anonymous with 20. Anonymous with 40. So just incredible. $774 already raised. I'm so excited about that already. Thank you so much. And thank you to the 200 plus of you who are here in chat. And we'll be going again until 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, raising as much money as we can for the United Way of the Fox Cities. With that, I'm going to take a drink of soda, and then I will get to all of your incredible questions here. I'm going to see if I can pause this because I keep seeing myself. There we go. That's better. 844 now. We just had another donation, a bunch. Anonymous with 40, Josh with 20, and Master Bojangles with 50. So up to 844. All right. Let's get super chats first. We got Shane the Tree Guy with 800 joules. Thank you, Shane the Tree Guy. Turn it up. Jammin'. Shane with another 200 joules. Thank you, Shane. Dua Lipa, Uncle Alert, thank you, 440 joules. Goat Trophy, 1,000 joules. Thank you so much, Bay Outdoors. And Dua Lipa became a new member. So thank you so much for that, Dua Lipa. Appreciate you a ton. All right, now we can get to your incredible questions. All right, Kaylin Lawrence. And like I said, I'll be here for an hour and 45 minutes-ish. So, and you don't, today's fun, right? We don't have to do anything in particular. So if you guys want to ask me random questions today, we can talk Packers, we can talk Bucks, we can talk Brewers, we can talk. I saw the new Spider-Man movie. We won't do any spoilers, but if you want to talk that, we can talk anything today. So this is just fun conversation. Obviously, I'm sure primarily focus on Packers, but feel free to ask anything, and we'll get to as many questions as we can over the next hour and 45 minutes or so. Love seeing Cisse is cornerback 1, and approximately 8 tweets flipped me from being worried about Savion to pumped to see him play. It's funny you say that, Kaylin. If, let's say today's practice was yesterday and today was like the off day and tomorrow I was doing my list of, stock up, stock down, Savion Williams would no longer have been on my stock down list. He was number 1 on my stock down list going into today. And just based on today alone, it would have just been, crumpled the paper, thrown it out the window. And that's how much things can change day to day in training camp. I mean, it's certainly for us on the outside. I am sure those in the organization are much more even keeled when it comes to the risers and fallers throughout camp. And they're a little bit more slow handed to make changes in those situations, as we've seen. But after a training camp or a big family night, from time to time, you can see, and certainly after like preseason games, you will see these adjustments take place. And today's, for instance, I would be making an adjustment to my personal power rankings, and I'd have Savion Williams not anywhere near as worried anymore. From a Packers standpoint, they made some adjustments today and said, hey, we need to start getting more competition for Keyshawn Nixon as a starter. And they said, hey, Anthony Belton's not doing a good enough job, and we need to figure that out as well. And Jacob Monk and Jager Burton getting some time with the ones, even with Zach Bakabawele back at right tackle. So some interesting updates there. And we'll continue to kind of keep an eye on how those things develop. But I'm with you, Kaylin. I got a lot happier today about the Savion Williams experience, just based on what he showed at practice today. Anonymous, thank you so much for donating $15. Appreciate that a ton. We're up to 859. Andy, what's your take with the right guard situation today? Is Jacob Monk really playing that well, or is Belton really that bad? Would you be concerned to see Monk starting week 1 against the Vikings? I'm going to probably be concerned about right guard almost no matter what. I don't think that there is a simple answer right now. I think Belton has struggled. I think Monk had a couple bad reps at family night, and he's going to have to improve as well. And Jager Burton, I am excited about, and I really want to see what he can continue to do. But he is a rookie 5th-round draft pick, and that's a lot to ask somebody to go up against a Brian Flores defense in week 1 as a rookie. That is a very challenging task. So I will just say this: I would not be stunned at all if We saw Jacob Monk start week 1. I think he's got a great IQ for the game, and that can help going up against a Brian Flores sort of defense. But that position is going to be a question mark between now and probably even beyond week 1. And I think you could see a platoon at that spot. I think you could see guys, rotate in and out, which I guess is also a platoon. So that's two ways of saying the exact same thing. But I could see somebody that we're not even talking about. Maybe Anthony Belton Darian Kennard gets his name in that conversation at some point. He worked at guard today, which we have not seen from him very much throughout the course of training camp. It was with the twos, but he got some time there as well. So I don't know the perfect answer to that right now, Dan. I do think this is very much a competition. I think it has a lot more to do with Belton struggling than anybody else just proving that they're that freaking good. But hopefully one of those guys can take that spot, earn it, grab it, and make it theirs, because the Packers really would need somebody to solidify that spot. All right, Anonymous with a $50 donation. Thank you so much. We're up to 909. I guess I'm going to have to start setting these goals higher for you guys, but this is incredible. Thank you so much. Howard, thank you so much for being here. Charlie, hello to you as well. From Chicago, thinking of going to the Bucs game, going to the Falcons, Pats, and Bills. That's a lot of games, Charlie. But Bucs game should be really, really fun. Hopefully Green Bay can pick up a win in that one. But hey, the more you can get to, the more Packers support we can get, the better. So if you want to get to it, absolutely get to it. With all this talk about the 3 safety package, has Gannon been moving them all around the field or just been lining them up in base nickel formations? Yeah, this to me is one of the biggest much ado about nothing non-starter conversations that you could possibly have, because there's no difference in anything. Javon's in the slot. And, I should mention too, Javon did go down with an injury at the end of practice as well. So that was another one that we're going to have to keep an eye on. He did have his helmet to the side, did not go back in. It was just walk through at the end. But hopefully he's okay and is not anything major there either. But Bullard also was went out, talked to a trainer, and then did not return to practice. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Javon's been in the slot, and Evan and Xavier at safety. We have seen Javon work at safety with the twos just to, I think, keep him fresh at that spot in case they ever need him there. But if you're wondering if there's like this 3 across safety, we haven't seen anything like that. Maybe he has it. Maybe, and he just hasn't shown it to us. That's always a possibility. They work on stuff that they don't want us to know all the time. So maybe that's a thing that we will see at some point in time. But in fact, I would argue Jeff Hafley actually used a 3 across safety at times. I have not seen it yet from Jonathan Gannon. So no, this big 3 safety thing, it's just Javon in the slot, which is where he was a season ago. There's nothing more to it that my eyes have seen so far. Would I cut Melton for Sturdivant? I would probably not cut Melton for Sturdivant. We all like to see this as a, when you look at the wide receiver depth chart, all right, who's your best receiver, second best, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and put them in that order. I would actually probably bet you that Melton's ahead of Sturdivant just as a wide receiver, just in general anyway. Just experience in the system, knowledge, speed, all of it. Like he's a solid, well-rounded wide receiver. Maybe Sturdivant ends up being better. And if I were to say today, if you said, hey, you need to develop either Bo Melton or Sturdivant for 2 to 3 years from now, if I were like the Dolphins, for example, right? If I were the Dolphins and I'm not playing for 2026, I'm playing for 2029. Well, I'm sorry, Bo, you're going to have to go, and Sturdivant and Nair are going to be more on my team because I want to see if I can develop them into something a little bit more special, where you kind of know what you're getting with Bo Melton a little bit more, which is a good number 5 or 6 wide receiver with, and here's the big thing, fantastic special team skills, specifically as a gunner and on coverage units. So he is so important to that. I don't see Melton going anywhere. And I think if you had to ask me, Sturdivant or Melton, I would keep Melton specifically because they've got to continue to try to improve this special teams unit. So yeah, I don't think that would be a question for me at the moment, but I do think that there is a real chance that they can keep 7 wide receivers. And I think Sturdivant and Nair are in a hell of a competition if they do for that number 7 spot, or if there is a Golden or a Reed injury, if one of those goes into the season and now they need another receiver. Again, I think Nair and Sturdivant are really battling that out. Nair has worked more with the ones so far, by far. I don't think Sturdivant, I don't want to say he hasn't, but I can't recall Sturdivant working with the ones, whereas Nair legitimately has, including today. So that's a little bit different. But it's one of those things that the competition at those spots is going to be very, very interesting. I'm not saying Melton's a lock. I'm not going to go that far, but I think he's a very strong bet to make the team. And we had one more $50 anonymous donations. Actually, it might have been 2, but we are now over the $1,000 threshold. and we are 25 minutes into the chat. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so incredibly much. $1,009 raised already. We'll continue to raise as much as we possibly can. I want to see if I can, I might up that. Let's see if we can up it now. Let's see here. Let's see if we can do this. I don't know if it's going to update in real time or not. Yep, there we go. 2,500. Let's see if we can get it to 2,500. We're going to not only double it, we're going to go a little bit above and beyond that. So let's see if we can get $2,500 towards the victims in Appleton and Menasha, and just, again, raise money for the United Way of the Fox Cities. But you guys are incredible. Let's keep it going, and let's raise as much as we possibly can. Do some good for the community here in Wisconsin. Glad to hear Savion had a good day. He's a lot more talented than he gets credit for. Treasy, I would argue, I don't think anybody is questioning the overall talent of the individual. He is height, weight, speed. He can pluck the ball out of the air. The flash plays are really impressive, but I would say the technical skills and just the consistency from Savion are what's been missing. So finding a way for him to now take this day, which was incredible, and do that again throughout the course of this next week, couple weeks, 3 weeks, etc., and then into the season, that's going to be the next big step. And then just continuing to hone his technical skills, meaning his route running and his footwork and his hands and all those things that are so important to actually becoming a dominant wide receiver in the league. But after a slow start to camp, he broke out in a major way today, and hopefully that is a harbinger and a sign of things to come moving forward. We had Cheesehead donate $5. Thank you, Cheesehead. AC Jensen with $100 donation. And I think Slobber Knocker with 50. I don't know if we went over that one already. Anonymous with 20. Brian Minion with $100 donation. And Steve Vino with 10. We are already up to 1244. Pretty much halfway now to our $2,500 goal. Let's get to some super chats as well. Charlie with another 1,000 joules. Goat trophy. More Uncle Alert. Thank you. I crank Serious Hog. Appreciate you, my friend. 30 joules from Drew BDU. Drew BDU. It's always Drew BDU. I always mess it up. 440 from I Crank Serious Hog. 10 from Drew BDU. Happy Poop. Thank you, I Crank Serious Hog, very, very much. Charlie became a new member. 10 more from I Crank Serious Hog. 1,000 from Juan Garcia. And 440 from Dalton Nichols. You guys are incredible. I will take all of your poop and your Uncle Alerts and everything else to raise money for a good cause. That's for sure. Up to 1344. We had another $100 anonymous donation. Steve, another 10 from you. Thank you so much. You guys are freaking awesome. Are super chats turned off? I don't know why that would be. Maybe super chats are off with the, let me just double check it really quick. Please hold. They should be on. I don't know why they wouldn't be. I wonder if maybe when you do the fundraiser, if super chats are not allowed, that might be the case. Yeah, okay. Zilch just said, pretty sure donate replaces super chats for these. So that seems to be the case. Here's the thing. Still use the donation one. And I'm really going to do my best to get to everyone's questions today. So we've got another hour and a half. So we'll try to get to everything, even if it's not technically a super chat. We'll get to literally as many questions as we can over the next hour and a half. So hopefully I will still get to everything. Hargrave and Brooks back. Do they have to cut anyone when activating? No, because their spots, even when you're on the active PUP list or the active non-football injury list, which both Hargrave and Brooks were, they continued to keep their roster spots. So they did not have to waive anybody to get those two to play. I should also mention, with releasing Marlon Jones, picking up Keyshawn Johnson, and releasing Jonathan Baldwin, they do now have one roster spot remaining. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there with either, maybe it's linebacker, maybe it's tight end. Could be a variety of different positions, but they'll I'm sure use that spot very, very quickly here. Is Mark Perry in line for a roster spot now? I still would say no, but as you actually probably safety, right? Because that safety room yeah, they're probably going to pick up a safety. You would think they have to, because that safety room, especially with Bullard, if Bullard's down now too, not that he's playing safety a ton because he's in the slot, but you've got McKinney, Williams, Oladapo, Perry, Kenyon, and Bullard. But if Bullard's down, you're down to 5 safeties, and Oladapo's the one playing in the slot too. So it's basically like Xavier and Evan with the ones and Mervin Kenyon and Perry with the twos. So they are very, very shattered at safety at the moment. I would expect we would see a safety pickup tomorrow. I'd be pretty stunned if we didn't see a safety pickup tomorrow. Let's see who they worked out recently. Wonder if any safeties were on that list. So yesterday they worked out quarterback and 3 wide receivers. Trying to see when their next or their last workout list was. All right, July 30th. No safeties on that list. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's on their like emergency safety list, but yeah, my guess is they're going to pick up a safety sometime in the very, very near future here. But as far as, going back to your question, Joe, Mark, the one thing to note about Mark Perry is he has been on a lot of number 1 special teams units, including kick coverage, at least a couple number 1 special teams units. So he is getting his name in that conversation. He's getting a huge opportunity, likely ahead of Mervin Kenyon at this point. And right now, if you were playing a game tomorrow, he probably would, like if you had to cut make your 53 for this weekend's game, he is probably very much in line for that spot right now. My guess is this is going to be a position that they are active on in the waiver wire come cut down time. But hey, Mark Perry's got a huge opportunity right now. And if he can continue to do well on special teams, he might just have a chance to break the roster by the end of camp and make that 53. Would be a little bit of a dark horse, and one that would certainly earn it if he gets to that point. All right, Anonymous with 50, Dan 47 with 20. Thank you guys so much. $1,414 exactly raised towards our $2,500 goal. We're about 1,100 shy of reaching that at the moment. John, who's an obscure Packer we probably haven't heard of, and something that they did that was awesome. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any of these. McAllen Castles had a one-handed catch the other day. So that was something, I guess. That was pretty cool. I mean, there's nobody on the roster right now that I think you guys haven't heard of. Certainly if you've been following us here at Pack a Day. And I'll give you one other update. Not that they did anything awesome, but if you're looking for another UDFA who's maybe starting to get a little bit of traction, Dylan Wade was working with the twos today. There was one particular run where Dylan Wade, along with Donovan Jennings and Darian Kennard on the interior, opened up this massive hole for Damian Martinez. Biggest run hole that I have seen in some time, certainly in a training camp setting. So yeah, Dylan Wade would be one that maybe start to keep a little bit of an eye on from a UDFA and just offensive line standpoint. After watching Family Night, I'm so tired of hearing 13-time world champions. I'm going to need to be that need that to be 14 really soon. Me too, man. Me too. Do you have any surprising cuts or not on the roster come week 1? I think it's possible they cut loose Oladapo or Melton. No chance on Oladapo right now, simply because they just don't have safeties. We just talked about it. Oladapo's worked a ton with the twos and now is getting time in the slot and at safety. You've got Bullard, who's going to be full-time in the slot. And then so you have Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney at safety, with Oladapo being the top backup. And then you get to Mark Perry, Mervin Kenyon, and that's it. That's all you got. So no, I don't think Oladapo is going anywhere. They would have to remake the back end of that safety room in real time at the end of camp, where you're basically going Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, and then probably 2 new safeties that aren't even on the team right now if you were going to do something like that. So I don't think Oladapo is likely. I don't think Melton is likely either, again, in large part due to special teams. Oladapo also very active on special teams. So I do not think either of them are going anywhere. Surprise cuts just depends on what you want to define as a surprise. I continue to throw out Carl Brooks. I still think he's going to make the team. But Carl Brooks is one that had that money go up this offseason from like 1 million to like 3.5 million. So there is some savings there. And the more that we see all of these linemen, so Hargrave, McClellan, Wyatt, and I would probably argue Brinson are going to make the team. And then you've got guys like Nasir Stackhouse, Jonathan Ford, and Anthony Campbell and Jaden Crometti have both got time with the ones as well. So you've got a variety of guys. There's an opportunity there where if they like a few of those other guys like Brinson, Stackhouse, Anthony Campbell, Jonathan Ford, Jaden Crometti, any of them, and they want to go cheaper, they could do so, save some money, and move on from Carl Brooks. I still very much think Carl Brooks is going to be on the team, just to be clear, but that would be one. The other one would be Colin Oliver. I think guys like Nigel Lee Kelly have shown some flashes. Aaron Mosby, such a core special teamer. And then I just think Brenton Cox isn't going anywhere. He's had a pretty strong start to camp. Barron Sorrell's not going anywhere. Van Ness isn't going anywhere. Denai Dennis Sutton's not going anywhere. So you probably have one spot for Colin Oliver, Nigel Lee Kelly, and I guess Aaron Mosby, Colin Oliver, and Nigel Lee Kelly. And I think that's a real legitimate battle for the time being. So I think Colin Oliver could potentially be another one. The Baldwin news is pretty wild. I don't remember hearing his knee injury was that serious. Hope we can bring him back for the practice squad. Could certainly bring him back at some point. Here's what I said when I heard it. Knee is never good. There are very few, unless you like bumped kneecaps or something and it was just super painful and it was just something short like that. But knees are never good. You hear knee and that there's just very few that you're like, oh, he's back in a week. It just doesn't usually happen that way. And as I talked about earlier, it's just such a death sentence to a young player who is, probably somewhere in the 60s or 70s on the roster. And you have an injury like that. It's so hard to overcome. It's a near impossibility. So I think Green Bay has been taking, as soon as they had injuries to the two tight ends, to Maryland and to Lachey, it was just waived injured. And now we saw injuries to Marlon Jones and Baldwin, waived injured. If you're a young player in the back 20 to 30 of the roster and you have an injury, sorry, waived injured. We'll figure out the settlement later. And we're getting new guys in and we're cycling through this right away. We're not going to mess with it. And it sucks. It's a tough business. I hate it. Injuries are the worst, but it really, really affects those guys that are just fighting for any sort of chance. And you have an injury like that and it just completely derails it. And you have no guarantee. If you're a Jonathan Baldwin or a Marlon Jones, there's no guarantee you get another chance somewhere else, which is what makes this so difficult. You have to work your entire damn life to get that tryout. Marlon Jones going through the cancer stuff and everything like that too, just to fight and claw your way to a tryout. And then Marlon Jones gets here and he has a pick 6 early on in camp and he looked pretty good too. Maybe working his way up into that conversation for one of those 16 practice squad spots that he would be eligible for, and just fighting and clawing, and you get an injury and it's waived injured. And now it's not only do you have to rehab from that injury and get back to where you were, but now you have to fight and claw just to get on another roster. And here's the thing. Marlon Jones is going to be even more tough pressed because it's going to be harder for a team to want a back of the roster guy to come in a training camp. And even if he gets there with a couple weeks left in training camp to try to battle it out, he's in an impossible situation even to try to show that he's ready for a practice squad spot. So he might have to wait all the way until next year to try to get on a team again. And then guess what? Guess what the new shiny toys are? The rookies from next year's class. So it is a tough and brutal business. I feel for these guys. I hope they're able to find a way to bounce back and land on their feet. But it is a very difficult situation when you are fighting and clawing to be on a roster and then you have an injury. It just completely cuts your legs out from underneath you, both almost literally and figuratively. All right. Red Bearded Predators, thank you for the $1 donation. And here's the cool thing, guys. Even a dollar, 98 cents, whatever you need to do, that helps. Every little bit helps. So thank you for that, Red Bearded Predators. And John Mark Lidelpa, or John Mark Lidell, I'm assuming the PA is PA, donated $150. So thank you so much for that. We are now up to $1,565. We are less than $1,000 to our stated goal of $2,500. I'll say it one more time. Well, we can't do super chats apparently since we're doing this, but any of the ad revenue from today's show will be donated to the United Way as well. So just be noteworthy that if you do see an ad pop up from YouTube, that revenue that it generates does go towards United Way today. Will you call Marshawn Lloyd, Brandon Lloyd, or Marshawn Lynch more often this year? Go with Marshawn Lynch, speak it into existence. Hopefully none. Hopefully I'm over it. Hopefully it's done. But for whatever reason, when I see Lloyd, Brandon Lloyd comes to my head. Devin Lloyd comes to my head too. I'm surprised I haven't done that yet. And then when I see M. Lloyd or Marshawn, I think Marshawn Lynch, I guess I should say. So I don't know. There are, I actually usually don't screw up my words too much. I do screw up names because I've got a billion of these former players just dancing in my head, and they all just want to come out in random moments. So my apologies to Marshawn Lloyd / Brandon Lloyd / Marshawn Lynch. I have done the Rodgers Jordan thing a couple times this offseason too. I'm sure there's going to be other ones, but it's usually names. It's usually names that just a random one just squirts out from the depths of my football knowledge from too many years of doing this. So my apologies for that in advance, because I'm sure it will happen again. What is Belton's best position, tackle or guard? I think they are working through that. If it's me personally, okay, actually need to pause here, because if it's me personally, I think guard is his best position. However, I think this 2026 Packers team needs all the help they can get at tackle as depth, because right now I trust Zach Bacco-Boele. I'm very much hoping to trust Jordan Morgan. But after that, I really don't trust Anthony Belton, and I don't trust Darian Kinnard, and I certainly don't trust anybody else. But there's a real chance that Belton is the next best guy if one of those two guys goes down. And so I do think that Green Bay's probably being smart with it for the here and the now, that they've got to cross-train him at guard and tackle. So I think in the long term, his best position is going to be guard. I don't think he's going to have the foot quickness to play tackle. I just really don't. So it just depends on what these are the battles that go on in the NFL all the time. Because I think everyone would understand, in an ideal world, you could take Belton, whatever position they think, right, which is the most important, whatever position they think, they would take him and they would plant him there, and they would make it so that they're not going to do anything with him until he feels comfortable and learns that spot and masters that spot. But you have 53 guys in the NFL. And when you spend a second round pick on an offensive lineman, you've got to make them ready, and you're putting a pretty big investment in that. And you got to get them to a point where they can help you sooner rather than later. And his best value to this team right now might be as a swing tackle. It very well might be, even if that's not where you want to play him. And even though you'd probably prefer to train him on one spot and have him master one spot, sometimes that's just not feasible, because you're going to need him at multiple spots throughout the course of the season when injuries hit. So it's just a constant battle of, you want to do what's best for the player, but you also always have to do what's best for the team. And you just have to kind of weigh those things out from time to time. All right. CJ, thank you for the $20 donation. Appreciate that. 1585 is now raised. Let's fire up our Luigi's Pizza, Papa Carry the G cream ale, and support the tornado victims. Cheers all. Great way to do it. Kudos to my friends at Cheesehead TV. Shout out to Aaron Nagler too today. I've shouted out him a lot over the years of just like his kindness and his support of myself and the channel. Here's the kind of guy Aaron Nagler is. Aaron Nagler, so I usually go live after camp around, you guys know, like 2 or 3 p.m. on days when it's open to the public. On days it's not open to the public, I'm always worried that it's just going to be a walkthrough. So I don't want to schedule a live and then we're just going like, yeah, they just did a walkthrough today. So on the actual training camp days, I do a live around 2 or 3. So Nagler comes up to me today and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm doing my live, I don't know if he did it at 2 or 3 today, but I'm doing my live earlier today. I just want to let you know, not trying to, overlap or do anything. And I'm just like, first of all, thank you. Second of all, you never need to let me know. I know you're not trying to cross the streams here or anything like that, or try to undercut me in any way. The fact that like Nagler was the one that started all of this stuff and was the first person in the sandbox, right? So he owes nobody anything at any time to give a heads up of like what time he's going live or to anything like that. The fact that he's just so kind enough to just come up to me and say, hey, I just want to let you know, going live around 2 to 3 p.m. today. And I just don't want it to interfere with you. And just in case, whatever, just that's the kind of guy he is. He's been so supportive and so awesome from day one, and just really, really appreciate that. So always support them as well. Go get some Carry the G cream ale, which is always delicious, by the way. It is crazy because so many times, so for example, not to lose a potential sponsor down the line here, I will tell you, Quick Trip, I love you. You're amazing. I literally almost cried tears of joy when the gas station on our exit turned into a Quick Trip, because it changed my life, because I can now pick up stuff on the way home when I need to. So I love you, Quick Trip. But your Mountain Dew donuts were 1,000,000% a cash grab. They were not very good. If you just limited or did lemon lime donuts, nobody would have bought them. But you did the Mountain Dew donuts, so I had to try it. Everyone had to try it, and they were not good. Sometimes when you get those things that are, got that label on it, like a Mountain Dew donut. And by the way, Mountain Dew, I love you too. I drink way too much Mountain Dew. So I'm a Quick Trip, I love you. Dunkers in general, I love you. Mountain Dew, I love you. I really, truly do. But when you two combine, it does not make something great. And yeah, so I did not enjoy my Mountain Dew donut experience. It was fine. It was fine. But, so sometimes when you get those, it's just not that good. The fact that they made a really great cream ale and, then She Said TV has got the name on it with Carry the G, just well done all the way around. Andy, I know it's practice and everyone's working hard, but what player looks like they're having the most fun out there on the field so far? I think there's a joy in the grind to Zaire Franklin. Like he's so energetic every single day. Like he's so energetic and just working hard. And I love that about him. And it feels like that, because the only way you do that is if you're really truly enjoying it. And I have a feeling that even though it's like the middle of camp and it's a grind, he seems like he's legitimately enjoying it out there. Trying to think who else is always just jovial, having fun, good natured. Usually like the defensive backs are always having fun. Bullard always seems like he's enjoying himself out there. I'll have to think on that one a little bit, but yeah, I would say in general, those guys seem to be fired up and having a good time out there. I thought Grant Dubose was going to be a beast. I wonder where he is. Yeah, he had the injury issues. He was also pretty like thin, slender, small. He probably needed to put on a little bit of weight. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's with the team currently. I don't know if he's going to end up in like a CFL spot or something like that, but it doesn't look like he's currently with the team. Matthew, thank you for being here. All right, still at 1585. I know, I can't remember if I think we called out that one CJ for the $20. Keep raising that money, guy. Thank you. Thank you for the donations, guys. Keep raising that money. Easy for me to say, but we're again a little less than 1,000 away to our new $200 or $2,500 goal. Yeah, definitely not an ideal day for injuries. Hopefully, none of them are anything close to long term, and hopefully, all of them are back sooner rather than later for sure. What is the argument for keeping 10 linemen whenever you can make the argument that street free agents after cut down would be of equal value? To me, Glovers, Monks, and Jennings can be found. That is all dependent upon what you feel like the developmental potential of those players are. So, when you're you're always going to keep 9. All right. 9 is a pretty foregone conclusion. You really don't want to get caught with 8 guys. You're going to keep 9. When it comes to the 10th guy, and sometimes even the 11th guy, it's not because you need them now. It's not because you need somebody. It's not because even that the person that you could find off the street might not be able to replace that 10th or 11th guy. It's somebody like a Yosh Nijman that you are hoping can someday develop into a offensive lineman that can actually be worth their weight and maybe even be a starter or really good backup for you one day. And you don't want to cut your Yosh Nijman because you might lose out on a super cheap yet talented backup player who could again be a swing tackle for you or maybe even a starter down the line. And those guys are very, very valuable. And it's very tough to find good, serviceable offensive linemen. So keeping an extra and working on developing those guys can be very, very important. And just as many times as you get a Yosh Nijman, you might get an Alex Light or a Caleb Jones or a Kadeem Telfort or one of those guys that just does not ever develop into something. But if you think highly enough of the player and think they've got a real chance to develop into something down the road, that's why you're keeping them. It's not because, XYZ player that you could claim off of waivers or pick up off of somebody's practice squad or whatever couldn't potentially be better. It's because you don't want to let them go and then they become a good player down the line and, you regret it and you would have had a really cheap, good offensive lineman and you gave up on it too soon. So there's a lot more to do with that than anything else. Definitely need to trade for a tight end, get a number 3 or 4 from a team that is deep. I don't think they need to yet, Steve-O. It just depends on where these injuries end up when you get to cut down time. Because Josh Wiley's now out too with some injury. It sounds like it's not anything. Even though it's neck, it sounds like it's not. That was the one they kind of clarified was it shouldn't be anything major. Not when you hear neck, you immediately like, oh God. But it sounds like just a little bit banged up. It wasn't anything major, like a major neck injury. So if you get to the end of camp and, for example, Kraft and Wiley, and I think they like Dabney. There's been a lot of talk about him from Goody and Steno this past week. I think if you have those 3, you're probably okay. And if Musgrave is going to be back like week 4, week 6, something like that, you can probably be okay with your tight end room while also probably keeping an eye on the waiver wire and things like that. If you can maybe upgrade Dabney or upgrade Wiley or something like that, then you'll go for it. but I don't think it's something dire at the moment. But if Musgrave's going to be out until like week 10 and Wiley's going to be out maybe the first 4 weeks of the season or something, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Kraft is coming off ACL and it's just like Kraft, Dabney, and nothing else. You don't feel good about anything else. Well, then, yeah, you're probably going to want to be very active. We've talked about the running back room very similarly, right? If you've got Jacobs and Brooks and Lloyd all good to go and healthy for week 1, you don't need to add anybody. That's a perfect running back room. That's exactly what you're looking for. But if any of those guys are out, then yeah, if Brooks is out, then yeah, you can probably keep Pierre Strong. But if one of your other top two ones are out for any significant period of time, then yeah, you probably need to go shopping at that spot. So it just depends on where they're at with that room come cut down time and how long some of those injuries are. But if they're healthy, I think they're going to probably stick with what they have, at least for the time being. Start, bench, cut, color commentator version. Brady, Romo, Olsen. Ignore scandals, just commentary. All right, start is Olsen, and it's not particularly close. I think I'm actually going to go with start or bench, Brady, cut, Romo. But the caveat here, or the distinction here, is when Romo first came on, and it was kind of new and kind of fresh, and he was kind of like calling out the plays ahead of time and things like that, and he kind of brought that energy. I really liked it. I really did enjoy it. He probably needed some tweaking, but it felt like they tweaked it in the wrong direction. And it just feels like he's not really adding much of that value, and his overall commentating is not adding much of value. And now, again, he does have a little bit of controversy there too. So I'm probably going to cut Romo, and I'd probably just start Brady in that situation. Brady's kind of the opposite. The first year of Brady was just like, I don't know if this is going to work. I thought last year it was much better. It's not perfect yet. And I, again, give some of these guys a little bit of time too to grow in that role. But I did think he got a lot better in year 2, and I think he's more than serviceable in that role. But Greg Olsen, easy as 1. I'll take Brady 2 and Romo 3. And if you want to trade Brady and Romo, I have no issue with that. All right, we have got Ken G with a $20 donation, Anonymous with a $50 donation, and Jean-Marc Brown with a $5 donation, up to $1,660, less than $900 away from our goal. Thank you guys so incredibly much. Adam, I have multiple coworkers affected by the tornado. The pictures don't do it justice. Please donate if you can. With all the injuries, do you feel like more starters will play? First of all, I'm sorry to hear that you have coworkers affected. I did hear recently from some people that were in the area, and I haven't had a chance to fact check this, so I hope it's right. It sounds like there were no fatalities, which when you see it, it seems impossible. I'm going to just double check it now before I... No fatalities were reported from the tornado in Appleton Menasha, July 27th. It feels impossible. It feels absolutely impossible when you look at the devastating damage that took place. So that is an unbelievable miracle in and of itself, because when I first saw the imagery, and like you're saying here, Adam, I am sure that the pictures do not do it justice. You would swear that there had to have been, multiple fatalities. So the fact that there was not is such an unbelievable miracle. And thank goodness for that. A lot of injuries though, and just so much damage. So yes, I appreciate the shout out here, Adam. And yes, if you guys can donate, that would be incredible. Again, thank you to all of you for $1,660 already. With all the injuries, do you feel like more starters will play? I think they're going to need bodies to play, but no, I don't think in this game in particular, we're going to see much more starters. But some of these positions, like safety, for example, especially if Bullard can't go, like, I don't know that you can go into the game, even if they sign one more person. I guess they probably can. But I mean, Oladapo, Mark Perry, Mervyn Kenyon, and one more safety. I don't know that that's enough. I don't know that's enough if you don't want to play Xavier Evan or Javon. I could see Jalen Simpson as some safety play in his background, so maybe he gets a little bit of time there, or maybe they try to get a little creative with it. I guess theoretically, you could just have Perry, Kenyon, and Oladapo probably play the whole game, and whoever you pick up kind of act as the backup to them. But that's a little bit shaky. I think you're going to be okay at tight end, because you're going to have Swinson, Castles, Bibber, Yasmin, and Dabney. So I think you're going to be fine at tight end with 5 guys there. Running back, Brooks and Jacobs, I'm assuming, will not play. Lloyd will play a little bit, but you're probably fine with Strong, Martinez, and Nixon playing at running back. But I don't think it's going to affect things all that much Safety and linebacker right now are a little bit thin, but I don't expect Zaire to play, maybe just a little bit. Cooper probably won't with the injury right now, but Hopper, McDuffie, Welch, Neiman, and Quinn can probably play the entirety of the game there. I think they're going to be okay. Safety is the one I would keep a little bit of an eye on, and they might need an Evan Williams to play a few if something were to happen. But for now, I think they're going to avoid having to play any sort of significant starters in this preseason game. All right, just want to make sure I didn't miss any not super chats, but any of the jewels or anything like that. Jonathan Baldwin had a shot to make the team for sure as a backup slot corner. I think so too. But again, these sort of injuries really derail things. I'll also say the easy talking point is Jonathan Baldwin was the backup slot. I don't think Jonathan Baldwin was actually the backup slot. All right. Jonathan Baldwin was working as the slot in the number 2s through all of camp to start camp. I don't think if all of a sudden you were without Javon Bullard in a game against anybody coming up, I don't think they just would have been like, all right, Jonathan Baldwin, you're up. I think they would have gone Oladapo. I think they may have gone Keyshawn Nixon inside. I think they might have tried St. Juice. I think they might have tried Cisse. I think they might have tried a variety of different things. Jonathan Baldwin was working there with the 2s as that player. I don't think he was actually the quote unquote backup slot for whatever that's worth. So how much that makes him like, whether he was actually truly in line for a 53 or not, if he would have stayed healthy, tough to say. I think he was certainly in the conversation and certainly competing for it. But I just want to clarify, I don't think he actually would have been the backup slot, despite him being that number 2 in the slot with the number 2, or the guy in the slot with the number 2s, I should say. Are Cisse and St. Juice outperforming Nixon and can take his spot as corner 1 and corner 2? I think that's what we're going to find out. I think Cisse has been arguably one of the best cover corners in camp so far. I really, truly do. Nixon's been Nixon. Keyshawn's the exact same guy. So a lot of pass breakups, a lot of completions allowed. That's just who Nixon is. It's a risk reward seemingly every single play. Not quite sure what you're going to get. Pretty assignment sure. Willing to come up in the run, sometimes not always willing to make that tackle, as we saw in the playoff game. But a lot of PBUs, a lot of passes completed against. So choose your fighter in that. Valentine was off to a great start, and Matt LaFleur's mentioned that 2 times now of how great of a start Valentine was off to before the injury. We'll see what happens when he comes back. And I've seen no issue from St. Juice so far. I think he's had a really nice training camp. So the big thing for me, and all I asked for going into camp, was competition. Could there be legitimate, true competition? It seems like there is, and that makes me very, very happy. And we'll see what ends up happening when they actually start the season, which, by the way, could be a lot of platoons. All 4 of those guys could play. They could easily make it so that Nixon, Valentine, Cisse, and St. Juice all play depending on the opponent, depending on the receiver they're going against, depending on the play call, depending on the drive. They could do a lot of really interesting things with that. Hopefully they just get it right at the end. Savion heard your morning pod and he took it personally. I say all the time, I hope none of those guys listen to what I have to say. Listen to your coaches. They're the smart ones that are going to help you the most. Don't ever care what I have to say. But I will say, I was not certainly the only one that was saying Savion was having a slow start to camp, but he was having a slow start to camp and he woke the hell up today. I have no doubt it was not anything to do with me, but he had a fantastic day and kudos to him. And I will gladly take that every single time. He was phenomenal, and I hope that he continues to stack success with that moving forward. What's the chances that they're trying to avoid the Morgan scenario from last year and let Belton just be a backup tackle since Kennard has been disappointing? Maybe. And again, I think this is the point in time where you're still trying to figure this out. And if Belton is struggling at guard, and remember he played tackle in college, maybe they're just going to say, hey, let's see if we can get him back at tackle. And guess who's struggling at tackle? Kennard. And guess who was at guard today? Kennard. So this might be one of those things where they're just saying, hey, Kennard is struggling at tackle. Belton's struggling at guard. Maybe we're it's August 9th. We've got another month before this thing, a little bit, right around a month, right? Where, the first regular season game, we have time to still play with this a little bit. Maybe we're better off if Belton's a swing tackle, and maybe we're better off if Kennard is playing inside and guard. So I think they're still experimenting with that stuff and just trying to find the right formula for Kennard, the right formula for Belton, and then Monk and Jager Burton. And then, of course, as Matt LaFleur will always allude to, the best 5 guys that can get out there on the offensive line. So I think they're just working through that. And I think that's a real legitimate thing that they're trying. I think it's a smart thing to do at this point in time until they find the right formula along the offensive line. Appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up button. Thank you so much. I know that we haven't been hitting much yet, but do you see us being more physical on defense? Feels like Franklin can bring a physical element that most good defenses have. I just too early to tell. Like you said, no, they're flying around out there. Their assignment, sure. I like how they're playing. It feels like they're playing with some intensity, but that's one that you can't judge until the actual season starts. Not even in preseason can you tell, because a lot of the starters aren't out there. We need to see it. Even in week 1 against Detroit, I felt like the team was flying around playing physical football last year, and then it waned as the season went on. So we're gonna have to see it consistently throughout the course of the season before I truly believe it. All right, Steve-O, when the hell did Monk become a viable guard? That is concerning about Belton. I think we can all argue that he was more of a 4th round guy, not a 2nd round guy. Bummer. I would say probably a 3rd round guy that got drafted as a 2nd round guy. And I would continue to tell you that throughout the remainder of the history of time, 2nd round offensive linemen, 2nd round graded offensive linemen will get taken in the 1st round. 3rd round graded offensive linemen will get taken in the 2nd round. And 4th will get taken in the 3rd, and 5th in the 4th, and 6th in the 5th, and so on and so forth. Because you can never have enough offensive linemen. It is the position you need the most of in the NFL. You keep 9 or 10 of them. You start 5 of them. You can never have enough. There's never enough good ones. You're always trying to develop them. So those guys are always going to go about a round earlier than they should. Jordan Morgan had a 2nd round grade on him. I always knew. I knew 1,000,000% go in the 1st round, because that's where those guys go, end of 1st. And I knew Anthony Belton, when I had the chance to study him, probably closer to a 3rd round grade. Had a very strong feeling that there was a chance that he would go end of 2nd, especially as the buzz was gaining on him and he got a bunch of workouts at the end. These guys are always, offensive linemen are always going to go around before they should. Always. It's very rare that it doesn't work out that way. Frank, how do you feel like the tight end room is going to look week 1? Seems like a lot of injuries. That's a big thing. Kraft will be the one week 1, and then the rest is dependent upon who's healthy. Right now, Wiley and Musgrave are not. Dabney is. If I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Kraft, Wiley, and Dabney as your top 3, with Wiley and Dabney being different roles. Wiley more of a move tight end, maybe a little bit of H-back, fullback, and more of like the receiving type. And Dabney probably more of your inline blocking tight end. If I had to guess today, that would be my guess, but don't know what the injury status of Wiley's going to be week 1, and don't know the injury status of Musgrave week 1. Don't know how much Kraft is going to be able to play week 1. And there's a lot to decide between a lot of those things between now and then as well. But if everything is what I kind of expect it to be, Wiley and Dabney kind of platooning as the number 2 and 3 tight ends. All right, where do we leave off here? Pretty sure the donate mode prevents. Oh yeah, we talked about that. Thank you for enlightening me on that. What's your favorite dance mom, Andy? What is a dance mom? Dance move? Did you mean dance move? I don't know. First of all, I don't have a favorite dance move. I certainly don't have a favorite dance mom. I don't know what that means. Go Pack Go since 94 with a $50 donation. Thank you so much, Go Pack Go. Keep getting those donations in. We're up to $1,710. We're $790 shy of our new $2,500 goal. We've reached the hour mark. We're obviously well ahead of schedule. In fact, the initial goal was $1,000. That doesn't even include any of the money from the jewels and things like that, and any ad revenue as well. So very, very amazing so far. Let's see if we can reach that 2,500 over the course of the next hour or so. Who is our 3rd running back? Great content, Andy. Go Pack Go. Chris Brooks. So Jacobs 1. And then it is Lloyd is the 2, Brooks is the 3. And if you don't even want to give numbers to Brooks and Lloyd, they're just 2 running backs that are going to do different things. Brooks is going to be your 3rd down back, pass protecting back, a little bit of everything. And Lloyd is going to be more of your change of pace, playmaking running back. So just 2 different types of backs. And then clearly the guy so far that has been ahead as the number 4 has been Pierre Strong. And then after that, I would say probably Martinez. And then the number 6 is probably Jaden Nixon. Should put that donation goal up to 5K, big dog. Let's get to 2,500 first. Drew Bidoo. Luther Burden looks to be okay. It sounds like maybe a few weeks for a groin injury. As somebody whose son has recently had a groin injury, I know just how much that those can linger. But I will say this: Luther Burden has looked unfreaking believable in camp so far. He is going to be a problem when he is healthy. He looks freaking awesome. That is one that I am claiming a hardcore win on. I absolutely loved him coming out of the draft. I thought teams were completely sleeping on him. I had no earthly idea why. I wonder where I had him. Where's my one note? 2025 NFL draft. Let's see where I had him on my list. Actually, I should look at that, but either way, this should work too. Here's where I had him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I had him ranked 13th on my big board. And the fact that he went in the second round was insane. Some of the other ones ahead of him are not doing maybe as great. I had Cam Ward as 1, Abdul Carter is 2, Travis Hunter is 3, Ashton Genty is 4, Mason Graham is 5, Jahdae Barron is 6. He's going to be in for an interesting year this year in Denver. Armand Membu is 7, Will Campbell is 8, Michael Williams is 9. He had a tough year in San Fran last year. Jalen Walker is 10. He just had the injury. He's going to be out for the year. Donovan Ezeraku was that 10 or 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 11. Derek Harmon in Pittsburgh is 12, and then Luther Burden is 13. So that was my top 13. I should have certainly had Tedero McMillan higher. Should have had Colston Loveland higher. Those were two I should have had higher. Nick Emanwari. I actually had Emanwari higher than what he went, but probably should have had him even higher as well. But yeah, I had Burden. I'm taking the victory lap on. He looks phenomenal right now, which sucks because he's a Bear. But yeah, I had him at 13 on my big board at the end, and he's looked every part of it so far. Evan Williams is a 78 overall in the new Madden. I'm convinced the rating adjusters don't actually watch football. There's some pretty bad ones in Madden for the Packers. Let's see here. Can I do it just by team? Here we go. How do I apply it? Come on. That's frustrating. Oh, there we go. All right. It was hidden by the cookie thing. So apply filters. So Mike has a 98. That's good. Xavier McKinney has a 92 is good. Jacobs is a 91 is fine. They need to change it to Zach Bako-Buwele. 87 is probably a little low, but I'm okay with it. Jordan Love at 86 is too low. Probably should be right at around 90. Tucker Kraft at 85 is way too low. Should be 90 or above. Edgerrin Cooper at 80 is probably a little too low. Probably should be in that 82 to 84 range. Javon Hargrave at 80 is actually probably too high. That probably should be in like that 78-ish range. Not by much, but probably just a little bit. Jaden Reed at 80 is probably fine. I don't have a major issue with that. Zaire Franklin at 79 is probably fine. Christian Watson at 78 is absurd. Should probably be 86, 87, 88. Probably 86, 87. I would say somewhere in there. Devontae White at 78. I'm okay with that. Isaiah McDuffie at 78 is wildly high. That should probably be around like a 74 at best, 73. Keyshawn Nixon at 78 feels very high. That should probably be around 72, 73, 71. Matthew Golden, 78, I'm fine with. St. Juice at 77, I'm fine with. Valentine at 77, probably a little high just because of tackling issues, but I'm okay with that. Evan Williams at 76 is absurd. Honestly, I think he should probably be around 90, but in true Madden terms, I would expect him to probably be around an 83 or an 84. At this point, 78 or 76 is just beyond absurd. Bullard at 76 is absurd, but I'm not shocked. He should probably be around an 80. Van Ness at 76 is low. He should probably be at a 79 to 81, somewhere in that range. Trace Mack at 75, sure, whatever. Denai Dennis Sutton at 74 is very generous. Waylon should be well above an 80, probably like an 88. He's at a 74. That one's massively disrespectful. Aaron Banks, 73. I'm fine with that. McClellan, 73. Okay. Belton, 72. Probably fair. Maybe even a little above where it should be. Melton, 72. Cisse, 72. That one's probably going to need to get raised. He should probably be around a 75 right now. Morgan, 72. I think that one's going to go up. I can understand why it's at 72, but I think that one's going to go up through the course of the season. Lloyd is 72, Moore 72, Sorrell 70, Oliver 70, Timmy Martinez at 70. Okay. Jaden Crometti at 70. Okay. Carl Brooks at 70, Musgrave at 70, Savian at 70, Sean Ryan at 70. That should probably be around a 75, 74 at worst, maybe even a little bit higher. We won't go over anybody else, but yeah, a couple disrespectful ones on there, and a couple, quite frankly, that they did probably a little bit too high on. Dylan Patscott, thank you so much for the $20 donation. You're the best, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, off of Madden ratings. Nagler taking the Andy approach of readying chats. What, reading chats? Readying chats? I'm not exactly sure what that means. see what Dabney can do. He didn't have a great day. I think he had a couple, maybe at least one drop today, but hopefully Dabney can step up. Can you see the Packers maybe giving Austin Eckler a call? No, I don't think so. I'd be pretty surprised by that. I don't think they're looking for a running back right now unless something happens with Jacobs or Lloyd. And even then, I think you're probably looking at a trade, probably not a free agent pickup. I've not seen the Odyssey yet. Definitely want to. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't have access to an IMAX. I think the closest is in Madison. I might be wrong on that, but we don't have the IMAX experience in Green Bay. And so I'm like, do I really want to go if I can't see it there? And then do I just wait until it's out? But I am excited to see it. I don't think I'm probably going to get to it in theaters. Texas Cheesehead, thanks for being here. Going to Packers Jets week 2 game. Go Pack Go. Let's go. Get after it. That should be a really fun one. When we hit 1K, can you take your hat off? I can take my hat off at any time, guys. Never mind taking my hat off. A little bit crazy today. Obviously not a ton there left still, but not honestly, this has been about the length that it's been for, I don't know, like 15 years now. So I thought it would be way worse by now, if I'm being honest. It's not, there's a little obviously like thinning here, but I still have coverage here. So we're good. I've just, if you can ask my parents about it. I've been a hat guy since I was a kid. I've always had a hat on. Just always enjoyed a hat. Just always been my thing. So I've never also liked my hair, which I think both of those things are sort of independent, but certainly work hand in hand. Even when I had full voluptuous hair, I always hated my hair. And so I've never enjoyed my hair, and I've always liked hats. So add those two things together, and that's why you see me with a hat on 99.9% of the time. Cheers from Chicago as well, Charlie. I'll be at the Bears, Cowboys, Vikings, Bills, and Lions games. Steve, you're going to be more games than I'm going to be at, my friend. That's awesome. Thoughts on if the Packers were to bring in Taylor Decker or Mekhi Becton? We've talked about Decker. Becton, I don't think he's a fit, and he had a really bad year. And here's what I would say: if the Eagles haven't picked up Becton, there's probably nobody else that has any, because he was in a really good spot with the Chargers last year in a scheme that really made sense for him, and he was god awful. He was god awful last year. So he worked great in Philly, and if Philly's not interested, I don't think anyone's going to have interest. And I just don't think he's going to be a fit in Green Bay. So Becton, no. Taylor Decker, and we can do Cam Robinson, and I always forget his name. The other Badger offensive lineman that's a free agent at right guard, Kevin Zeitler. Those three guys, they're not gonna take a competition job, and they're gonna probably wait till the end of camp where some team offers them a lot of money and a starting spot. And keep an eye on Washington with Tunsil just getting hurt for either Decker or or Cam Robinson, something like that. But those guys are mercenaries. They're going to want a lot of money and a legitimate, true starting job, no competition, no anything like that. So I don't think we're going to see Decker in Green Bay unless Morgan were to struggle and they're just like, hey, we need you to come in and be our starting left tackle. Here's a bunch of money. And then he would probably do it. But outside of that, I don't see it happening. Let's see. There's the Cookie Monster. Is that Cookie Monster? I don't know what that is, but thank you, Steve-O. Do you think the streak of UDFAs making the 53 continues? And if so, who do you think has the best shot? The best shots to me, there's probably two. And it is Sturdivant and Nigel Kelly. I think Nigel Kelly will have a chance, and I think Sturdivant will have a chance. They're going to have big preseasons where they put enough film out there that they're concerned that other teams might claim one of them. And if that's the case, then they have a chance. But it's going to take one of them having a really big camp. One of my bold predictions going in is that this will be the first time in 20 some years where they do not keep a UDFA, but those two have a chance to maybe continue that streak and keep it alive. Thrani, thank you for the $20 towards the goal. And Patrick Handel, thank you for $10 towards the goal. We are up over $1,760. So we are getting there. Thank you guys so much. Andy, I've missed the last 3 days of practice. What have I missed? A lot, I guess. I mean, you missed family night, so you can go check out that whole video. And then today's updates will be out there tomorrow. You can also check the beginning of this show. I went over some updates there, but to go through 3 days of practice, that would take a lot of time, and I would rather get to everyone's questions. So definitely we'll have videos out there for everything that you might have missed. And so yesterday was no practice after family night, right? Yeah, yesterday was no practice. So you just need Friday's family night video and then tomorrow's video, and you'll be all caught up, Harry. What is the NFL logic on having a 53-man roster but only activating 48 on game day? Why not have everyone available? In general, I think they don't want more specialty players. All right. So think of like having a 7-7 guy to block field goals or whatever it might be, whatever that thing is just like the specialization of players even more. I think they want it to be, hey, you can only have 48 on game day. You're going to have to use your roster spots wisely to make sure that, you know, you've got the right players that you need playing the right positions and things like that. I think that's the biggest thing. I think as time goes on, you'll maybe see a little bit, we get to more players or more games in the season. Once we get to 18 games, I could see that going up to 55, and I could see maybe even 50 being active on game days or something like that. But I think they are a little bit hesitant where they don't want you to have a player for every situation or scenario, right? They want you. And I think too, they probably don't want as many players on the payroll. I think that's probably another aspect. I mean, I guess they're 53 on it anyway, but either way, I think we'll probably see a little bit of change in that over time. But I think the specialization of labor is one of the big things there. Anonymous with a $50 chat and Anonymous with a $20 chat. Thank you so much. I think we went over Patrick's $10, but just in case, sorry, I'm losing track a little bit of where we were at. I think we did. But 1,830 getting there, less than $700 away. Thank you, Steve-O. Thank you, GB Gary. Shout out to everyone who donated. Could not agree more. I glanced at the thumbnail really quickly the first time by and had to do a double take because I thought it said training camp disaster. Well, thankfully not, although there were a lot of injuries today, but hopefully there were no and will be no training camp disasters. Andy, you have to take your hat off for 1 minute since we reached 1K. I don't have to do it for a minute, but again, I did it earlier. It was probably close to a minute before, but again, if you guys can do it for a little while, if you guys want, I would have done my hair if you wanted me to keep it on, or keep it off. Thanks so much for doing this, Andy. I know we've heard a lot of buzz around the backup defensive tackles at camp. Where do you think you'd rank them roughly compared to Brooks, Stackhouse, etc.? If I were to do it right now, I think, you know, your top three are Wyatt, McClellan, and Hargrave. I think that's probably fair to say. I think Brooks is probably 4. I think Brinson's 5. And then I think it gets interesting. I would personally put Jonathan Ford 6, probably Nasir 7, Campbell 8, Crumetti 9, and Riley's just going to be on the injured list to start the season. So that's probably where I would put it. But I think once you get past, especially those first 3 of Hargrave, McClellan, and Wyatt, I do think Brooks, Stackhouse, Brinson, Campbell, Jonathan Ford, Jaden Crumetti, I think there's a lot of room for interpretation. There's really a lot of room for interpretation. So, yeah, choose your own adventure on that and who you like more. But I think there's a clear top 3 in Wyatt, McClellan, and Hargrave. All right. And I think we did. Yep, we did those 2. All right. So the auditor with a $50 donation. Thank you. PJ Wynn with a $50 donation. Thanks, PJ. And Anonymous with a $5 donation up to $1,921. You guys completely freaking rule. Thank you, Steve-O. Let's see. Do you think Stackhouse makes the roster? His performance last year seemed lackluster. I think it's close. I'm going to lean no for the time being, but he's certainly still very much in the conversation. All right, 750 joules. Thank you, Slobber Knocker. And Dylan with 1,000 joules. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate you guys. How much? So, okay, so 1,000 joules is exactly $5 US in earnings. All right, there you go. The more you know. Back to the questions. Hey, brother, what did you think of Jordan Love at Family Night? I think Jordan in camp so far and in Family Night has been consistent. Nothing has wowed for the most part. He's mostly avoided turnover-worthy plays. I'd probably put him at, I want to say 4, maybe 5 turnover-worthy plays through the entirety of camp so far. Couple picks and a couple should have been picks. Probably like 5. So he's mostly taking care of the football. I think he's making good decisions. He clearly has 1,000,000,000% control and command and knowledge of the offense. That is clear. But for whatever reason, again, the offense just hasn't found that rhythm yet. And I'm hesitant to put that on Jordan because I think it's everybody. I think it's the line. I think it's receivers. I think it's all of it. They haven't had Zach Bako-Boele before today. Aaron Banks has not practiced in team. Tucker Kraft certainly has not practiced in team. Now they're missing Golden and Jaden Reed in team. So there are some moving parts. But I think what I would say is there's certainly nothing that would give me any cause for concern at the moment. But there's also nothing that would let me tell you, holy guys, like Love is playing at an entirely different level. Look the hell out this season. It's just been fine. And I think it has been more indicative of the entire offense so far and just the defense being ahead of the offense in camp. Maybe today, I'd have to think back on it a little bit, but today might have been more offense than defense. Offense might have won today a little bit, but overall, I think he's been fine. I will also add on top of it, just before anyone freaks out and worries, Jordan has never been somebody, even the last couple of years, that has been like a big time WoW player in camp. He's a gamer. Did we actually finally get it? Did we finally get it? Oh, we did not get it. But Trayvon Diggs did not sign with the team, but he did try out for the Detroit Lions. So there you go. Trayvon Diggs finally got a tryout. Green Bay Blizzard won against Tulsa in the semifinals, 67-60 in a thrilling OT win against Tulsa. The Blizzard will travel to Tucson to face the San Diego Strike Force. Green Bay has a chance to bring a title back to Titletown. Let's go. It's Blizzard time. I'm going to have to watch that on TV. We should do, if I have the availability, maybe we'll have to do a Green Bay Blizzard live stream and break that down in real time. That would be a ton of fun. Did I miss anything else besides the Trayvon Diggs workout? Panthers signed Kyle Trask. All right, I think that's it for any big news updates here. All right, we are at $1,921. We are less than $600 away, guys. We've got another 40 minutes or so to get that up. Oh, I've got a lot of questions to get through. All right, I'm going to need to ramp things up a little bit here. Was happy to see St. Juice and Cisse together with the ones today. Would hope to see that this season. Why has St. Juice been consistently with the twos until today? Seems like he's had some good plays. Don't know the answer to that. Would have to ask the coaching staff. He has rotated with the ones before in a couple different practices, so he hasn't been completely out of the number one scene. But up until today, he seemed to definitely be more on that number two line and definitely number 4 in the pecking order behind Nixon, Valentine, and Cisse. But not anymore. Now he's getting in that conversation. I think it's about time, and long way to go still before the start of the season. So again, better late than never. I'm very happy that St. Juice is in that conversation. Pretty sure donate. Yeah, we talked about that. What would be your starting offensive line in week 1? All right. This is going to be a controversial one. No, it's actually probably not going to be. But I honestly think if it were me, and I just need to say too, I need to see a little bit more out of Jager Burton before I would do this for sure. But my gut kind of says Morgan, Banks, Burton, Ryan, Bako Boele. So basically the starters what they are, except Sean Ryan back to right guard and Jager Burton at center. I think Burton's going to be a center. I think he's going to be a better center than he's going to be a guard. And I really don't think that there's much tangible difference between Sean Ryan, the guard, and Sean Ryan, the center. I think he's kind of the same in either spot. So I would lean towards Burton at center and getting Ryan back to right guard and be totally fine with that. Now, Ryan is apparently done a really great job at center and has really taken to it and kind of been a leader in that room now and knows the calls and the checks. So because of that, I would be fine with keeping Ryan at center. And then I would have to just, again, see Burton a little bit more at guard. But I would certainly have it be a wide open competition. And as we kind of talked about earlier, I feel like 4 of the spots are set with Ryan at center and then with Banks at left guard, Bako Boele at right tackle, and Morgan at left tackle. And to me, it would just be a very wide open competition for that right guard spot. And I'd kind of be hoping that Jager Burton won it, but I wouldn't just hand it to him either. He's going to have to go out and earn that. And hopefully he does through the course of the next few weeks. Fortunately, I think Valentine's injury cleared the way for Cisse to be a starter week 1. I don't see them benching him for Valentine after how good of a camp he's had. I wouldn't bank on that yet. And as I've talked about pretty much all offseason, I would also get out of your mind that there's just 2 starting outside corner spots. There's a lot of opportunity to platoon in those situations. So don't be surprised if come the regular season, if we see 3 or maybe even 4 of those guys actually getting playing time on the outside. There's nothing that says you can only have 2 starters on the outside. It wouldn't surprise me, especially with Cisse, if they maybe don't try to overwhelm him all at once. You know, I could see something where St. Juice and Cisse are in more on early downs and, you know, whatever. Like I could see some sort of platoon there. But Cisse looks really good, and there's a good chance too, Treasy, that he never gives up that spot, and that's just his for the next 5 to 8 years. Who knows? And hopefully that's the case. Hopefully he's just that good. Holy crap, Anonymous with a $250 freaking donation. Thank you so much for that. We are up to $2,171, closing in on our goal of 2,500. You guys rule. Thank you so much. What an awesome community we have here. What's the biggest wild card on offense and defense that could swing the win-loss ratio the most? I still say offensive line is the biggest wild card. I don't know if you can call the line a wild card. So I will go offense and defense. I'm just going to go player because I feel like that's probably the easiest. Even then, like pick a corner. Any of them could swing it, honestly. They just need one of those guys to step up. If one of them can step up in a big way, that would swing it in a major way. So whether that's Cisse, whether it's Nixon, whether it's Valentine, whether it's St. Juice, just one of those guys could swing it in a major way if one of them could play at a very high level. And then I'm going to still say Anthony Belton at right guard. To me, if he can actually figure out a way to win that spot and play well, that would be such a really nice development for the line. And if he can't, again, I think there's going to be major questions there throughout the course of the season of who your right guard actually is. So I'll say Belton and pick your favorite corner. I'll take more likes. Zeppelin, thank you so much. Paul and Ziggy took their shirts off when they raised $2,000 for the Red Cross. How much do we need to raise to pop that sweatshirt off? If you get to 25K, I'll pop the sweatshirt off. If you tell me ahead of time, if you give me a month to work into somewhat decent shape, then maybe I would be a little bit more willing, but no, I'll keep the shirt on for everyone's sake. You should pay me to keep it on, not take it off. I don't know what was epic, but I'm glad something was epic. We had crazy tornadoes in Michigan the same day as Appleton. Got a few more today. The past few years have been so bad for storms. Yeah, it's just been one of those unfortunate things, and not going to get into some of the politics of it or anything like that. But hopefully we can find a way to turn some of this around a little bit too. Trace Mack looks terrible in the preseason, or just misses some game altering kicks at the start of the season. Can you see the Packers cutting him early on? Yeah, for sure. And no, there's this. August 9th is not when you want a kicker. September is not when you want a kicker. October, November, probably the best veteran kicker out there is probably Brandon McManus, So no, you do not want to be wanting a kicker at this point in time. And yeah, if he struggles and misses some big kicks, absolutely, they could be in line for releasing him and going in a different direction. Go Pack Cat. Hey, thanks so much for making the chat. Appreciate you. How much, if any, 13 personnel have you seen so far in camp? Being thin at tight end would limit that, I feel. Maybe a play. It hasn't been much if there has been. Certainly not that I've seen. Yeah, happy to do it. Again, don't get to do this as much as I would probably like to. I'm no Tom Grossi by any stretch of the imagination, but from time to time, we were able to do a lot of really good work for Mac, raise a bunch of money for them. I think we raised, almost $4,000 for Mac earlier this year, somewhere in that range. And so that was really, really fun for My Autism Connection. And, hopefully able to do something similar today. And again, over $2,000 raised already. So happy to do that. It's not the Tom Grossi million, but happy to help out in the community where we can. Looking forward to the preseason game on Thursday. Finally, at least it's real pad wearing football against an opposing team. I'll take it, John. I'll absolutely take it. So no Belton struggle at tackle on family night, but I don't understand having Monk starting with the ones today at right guard over him. Is this just something they want to see what they have in Monk? No, he's been playing there. I know that he had a couple bad plays in family night. I will say I do think Monk has had a really good camp up until this point. I haven't noticed any specific issues with him at guard so far. And he's been playing a ton of guards. This isn't anything new. Monk's been at the starters a ton this offseason. And basically anytime Banks has been out, which has been I think every practice and team so far. So I think Monk's worked with the ones every single day. So definitely not anything new. Knew that Belton has been behind him. That's definitely a little bit new. But no, Monk's been with the ones almost every day, and he's had a good camp. Again, maybe a couple plays in family night he'd like to have back, but overall, this is not a crazy, surprising development to me in any stretch of the imagination. And I think a lot of it has to do with more, just Belton struggling too. I think that's a big piece of it. And that's the other one. Yes, Belton struggled at family night, but he has also struggled a lot in camp. So that's a carryover. Camp is practice, and you get to a big one on family night under the lights, and you struggle even more. All right, now your job's not your 53 job, but your starting job's more in jeopardy. And we saw that today with a lot of competition there. yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think it's a 3-way battle royal or triple threat match, ladder match, whatever you want to call it. Money on a pole, money's on a stick, human money's on a stick, or whatever. Whatever you want to call it for that right guard spot. It certainly seems up for grabs right now. Any thoughts on when Tucker's contract will be done before the start of the season or sometime? I still think it'll be before the start of the season, but some of you can answer this question for me. I do not care. I do not care. I'm not worried about Tucker's contract at all. That will get done. He will be a Packer for a long time. Even if something crazy happens, they will franchise him next year and he will be here and they will figure something out next year, which I don't think it'll ever get to that point. So no stress, no concern, no issues with where the Tucker Kraft contract is at. I have zero doubt whatsoever that will get done. And whenever it does is fine by me. Anonymous with a $20 donation. Thank you so much. Up to $21.91. Have you noticed who is better at blocking between JMS and Nair, J. Michael Sturdivant and Isaiah Nair? I'll wait for the all-22. I have seen a couple really good blocks from Nair. I can't recall seeing any from Sturdivant, but that doesn't mean he hasn't had any. It's a little bit tough to kind of keep it, keep an eye on, but we should get a much better idea of that after even the first preseason game. Where the O-line is going to underperform again and hold us back again this year because they didn't make any changes. I would disagree with that statement, Ben. They did make changes. Morgan is your new left tackle. There's going to probably be a new right guard. Sean Ryan is a new full-time center. I know he ended there last year. I know Belton ended at right guard, but that could also be Monk. That could be Jager Burton. It's not entirely different, right? And Bako Boele is coming back from injury too, where they didn't have him at the end of last year. So left tackle is new. Your star right tackle is back. Your center actually gets a full off season to work at center instead of just being thrown in there at the end of the year. Could be a new right guard. And, Banks is kind of the only one that's for sure in the same spot that kind of ended there. And by the way, Banks, his best game of the year was against Chicago in the playoff game and played well when he was healthy. Just, unfortunately now he's still not healthy again, but we'll see where he is come start of the regular season. I think there's still reasons to be optimistic. There are also reasons to be pessimistic. So choose your, where you want to go with it right now. But I do think there have been at least some changes there. Stop being so nice to Nagler. We need some podcaster on podcaster beef. Just kidding. Everyone can play nice in the sandbox. That's for sure. I've said it from the very beginning, and I think it's 1,000,000% true. I talked to Schneidman about this this week with his new podcast. Congratulated him on starting something new. That's going to be really awesome with him and Huber and Paul Brettel. I have a feeling that they're going to absolutely crush it. And, I'm obviously aware of all the people in the space. I know what's going on. I kind of keep an eye on everything, but I want everyone to be successful. There are millions of Packers fans. We've got 40,000 followers on YouTube. I've got almost 100,000 people following me on Twitter. I have reached a fraction of the Packers audience, and Cheesehead TV has reached a fraction of the Packers audience. And whatever other Locked On Packers has reached a fraction of the Packers audience. None of us have got 2 million followers. None of us are, to where the level, to the level of it's more than 2 million. You know what I mean? What is the Packers on social media? Obviously there's more than that, but I was wondering what their social media handle is at. Yeah, 2.4 million. 2.4 million on Packers Twitter that follow the Packers on there. And obviously there's going to be more if you include Insta and Facebook and just worldwide, etc. So we are reaching fractions of that audience. And the truth of the matter is, if we all lift each other up and play nice in the sandbox and support each other, it's going to help all of us, because Packers fans, again, there's millions of them and there's an insatiable thirst for Packers content. So as much as I can, I like to prop everyone else up. I've talked about it a million times where Nagler has been so nice to prop me up over the years, did not have to do that. And the more that, again, we can support each other, I think the more all of us are going to be more successful because of it. Sounds like our tight ends are getting some time at fullback. Does this mean we're going to see some fullback snaps this year with all the tight end injuries? Could you see a true fullback signing? I would have loved a true fullback signing. I'm actually kind of disappointed they didn't do a true fullback signing, but I do think we will see a little bit of it, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. I think it'll be very sparse. My guess is, all right, three times a game at most. 17 games would be 51. If you put the over under on 50 for somebody lined up at fullback this year, I would take the under. So 50 snaps, I would take the under. We'll see it, but I don't think it's going to be a huge piece of the offense. And if the Packers went 9-8, 7th seed and wildcard exit, staying relatively healthy, what changes would you make if you were Goody? Honestly, it would just depend on where the failures were. I think that that's honestly a fairly reasonable outcome for this season based on some of the, just the injury to Micah and where things might start. Hopefully they can get hot at the end of the season. We'll see what injuries kind of take place throughout the course of the year, but it would really be dependent upon what the failure was. So was it the same situation where situational football and letting leads go at the end? All right, we need to figure that out. And is that a Matt thing? Is Matt even in that situation in 9-8? I don't think his job is on the line in any stretch of the imagination, but maybe there's a conversation about hiring somebody that I don't know, but there'd have to be some real look at that again after it's a point of emphasis this year. It's tough to replace a special teams coordinator or a defensive coordinator, but if the defense was just atrocious, like 28th best defense, you probably immediately need to have a conversation if Gannon was just the wrong fit. If special teams was they'd have to be 32nd, because even if they're like 31st, it's basically staying status quo. So I don't know if you fire Acord over that, but you get my point there. Was it because, did they lose 4 games because of missed field goals and lost in the playoffs because of a missed field goal? All right, well then Goody can look in the mirror and realize that he was the one who failed the team at kicker. So it just depends on where the failures would be in that situation, to be honest. Reed and Golden are mostly built for the slot. Which one of no, Golden can easily play outside and will play a lot outside. He's going to be the X this year. So yeah, Golden's going to be outside. Reed will be in the slot. Watson will be outside. They'll move those guys around too. We'll see Watson in the slot. We'll see Golden in the slot, but we'll see Golden outside plenty. All right, anonymous with a 20, anonymous with a 20, and anonymous with a 50. We are up to 2261. We are $239 only shy of our $2,500 goal. I'm not really ready to put the scary label on the offensive line at all, but there are concerns, and I think it does come a little bit more with depth. I'm not willing to throw the offensive line, the starting offensive line, under the bus yet, because we haven't seen them play together. We just haven't seen it. So I still have hope for the starters. Once you get to like the 9th offensive lineman, it really takes a hit. And I think John Williams is probably the leader for that number 9, but just depends. I'm hoping that they can go at least 6 deep with their starters, whoever it is at guard, of either Monk or Burton, and then the other one being the 6th. And then if Belton and Kennard are your 7th and 8th, I feel okay about that. Probably John Williams is 9th. I feel okay about that. I think it can still be okay, but there's a lot of work to still be done. Beast Bumblebee with a $20 donation. Box Boy with a $20 donation, and Anonymous with a $20 donation. We're up to $23.21, less than $200 away. God bless those folks in Menasha, Appleton area. Stay strong, folks, and prayers for sure. I can't even imagine. How do you balance being a Packers reporter but also being a fan of the team without being biased with reports and takes? A lot easier than you may think. So a couple things that I'll talk about here. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I worked in human resources. One second. I worked in human resources as my full-time job right before I started here. I was a director of recruiting, and then I did some other work in HR as well. But even in general, even outside of HR, when I worked in for a business, HR Andy, for example, when I walk into the office on Monday morning and I've got my tie on and am all dressed up and ready to go, that's a very different Andy than the Andy that was at the bar last night with my friends. HR Andy and bar Andy are 2 very different people. When I'm at the bar with friends in front of the TV, who knows what's going to come out of my mouth? When I'm at work in HR and doing HR stuff, pretty damn buttoned up. Not going to get anything, kind of crazy coming out of my mouth. And it's going to be very professional. So when I'm at home in front of the TV watching the game, yeah, fan Andy's going to come out pretty hard. And you guys know too, you can a lot of times probably tell when I'm, talking as a fan, and even times when I'm talking more as somebody who covers the team, analyzes the team, etc. For the most part, I don't view my job as a fan or a non-fan. I view my job as to analyze the team. Period. End of story. That, I'm not a beat writer. I'm not a beat guy. I'm not, a TV personality. I'm not a radio guy. I'm not a whatever. I really, truly, if I were to say like one thing, I'm an analyst of the team. I analyze things that go on and I talk about them, whether it's good, bad, ugly, amazing, anything in between. When I'm in the press conference room or when I'm in the press box, that is a pretty buttoned up Andy, and fan Andy is pretty much dead. All right. So that is pretty, kind of HR Andy comes out and I'm just focused on the job at hand. But what I will tell you is that I never want to kill fan Andy in any stretch, even when I'm in that room, because fan Andy is the one that understands what you guys all want to know, what questions should be asked, what things are going to be important to learn about the team. The reason I can cover that stuff and the reason I can come up with new topics every day to talk about is because I'm truly simply a fan of this team that has all of these questions and I'm inquisitive about the team that I love. So it is an enhancement of what I do. But there is a time and a place for me to be truly a fan. And there's a time and a place for me to truly be somebody who is needing to be professional in covering the team. And when I'm in the press box or I'm in the press room, again, fan Andy can feed me some ideas, but there's not going to be any inkling. You're never going to be able to tell that I'm a fan of the team. You're never going to be like, oh, he only asked that question because he's a fan of the team. Never in a million years. Would never, ever happen. So there's a separation of church and state there, just like there's a separation of church and state between Bar Andy and HR Andy before I ever covered the Packers. So it's actually very, very easy to do. And again, you being able to use the ideas from the fan side of things is very, very helpful, extremely helpful in doing what I do every day. I honestly, I wouldn't change a single thing about it at all. I certainly don't want to not, or I don't ever want to not be a fan of the team. I know that much. And it only enhances my ability to cover the team because I am a fan of the team. 1,000,000,000%. So I wouldn't have it any other way, if I'm being honest. I will never forgive Greg Olson for destroying Jordan Love's first Thanksgiving turducken. I want, if there could be like a fake 30 for 30 that they actually like really did, but it was obviously like a non-serious topic, that would be such a wonderful, like a Thanksgiving 30 for 30 where they did it like completely seriously, like they were solving a murder and they did it deadpan serious the entire time. But the whole topic was what happened to the turducken for Jordan Love and the Packers when they won that game. It would be unbelievable. And maybe there's just not enough stuff to drag it out for 30 minutes or whatever, but it would be absolutely awesome. What services do you subscribe to help you do your job? Which ones are worthwhile for fans? Yeah, NFL Plus or whatever, or NFL, whatever the high level one from NFL is. It's not Plus anymore. It's NFL Premium, or I forget what it is. But being able to get all 22 from there. And the big one is the quick game recaps, or like the condensed version of the game. So when the game is done, I can go and rewatch it and it's like 35 or 40 minutes. That is super helpful. PFF is definitely helpful for a lot of the stats and just things like that and some of their tracking. The grades are whatever, but definitely have a PFF. And then recommend like a PackersNews.com subscription, just even to support those guys. Highly, highly recommend that. I'm sure there are others too that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head. The Athletic, I have an Athletic one. That a lot is for draft time, but obviously Matt Steinman does a great job covering the team as well. Where's my sheet here? I'm trying to see if I have it in my little accounting sheet. I think those are the main ones. I'm sure there's probably a couple other things too that I have that I'm just not remembering at the moment, but those are a few of the main ones. Belton was a 4th rounder according to Uglum. Yeah, again, I think still a 3rd rounder that again was, and I think by the way, he was going to go in the 2nd. If Green Bay didn't take him, he was still going to go in the 2nd. When was he taken by the Packers? He had so many pre-round or pre-draft visits and got really hot at the end. Green Bay took him at 54. So there was 11 more picks. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 more picks. 10 more picks after him. If it wasn't in that 10 picks, it was going to be very close thereafter. He would have went in the next 15 picks for sure. I'd be willing to bet a lot of money on that. Andy, have I ever hiked at Devil's Lake? Just had a good stroll out there. Beautiful country. Last year we were set to. We had an Airbnb that was out by Devil's Lake. It was kind of in between Wisconsin Dells and Devil's Lake. And we had a bunch of stuff planned with our friends for where we were going to do like the Dells for a couple days. And then the final day was going to be Devil's Lake. And something happened on the final day. I don't know if it was just weather related or what, but something happened and we weren't able to do it. So I still definitely want to get out there. It's been on my to-do list. Just unfortunately, I've not been able to. Chris, thank you for the $5 donation. We are, NFL Pro. Thank you for whoever put that out there. Yes, it was that. $2,326. Again, we are less than $200 away with 15 minutes remaining in today's chat. You, Aaron Nagler, and Peter Bukowski and Tom Grassi are on a plane that crashes in the Andes Mountains, a la the movie Alive. Who gets eaten first? Who hikes out to save the group? I feel Grassi might be outdoorsy enough to survive. Bukowski certainly gets eaten first. It's Grassi or me are going to be the survivors. I actually think I might be the survivor just because I will find a way. I love living and I love doing what I do and I love my family so damn much. There's a billion% I will find a way. I will absolutely find a way to get the hell out of there. So I'm gonna survive, and we're gonna try to keep everyone alive. It's my goal. We're all four of us together might be able to make one knowledgeable, survivable human being, but I'm certainly making it out. That's my take. Favorite current hockey player and all-time hockey player. I really do enjoy it. This is going to be a lame answer. Why can I not think of his name right now? That's going to be the even more lame one. Connor McDavid. Sorry, I was drawing a blank. I just love watching him play. I love watching Connor McDavid play. So it's a lame, boring, cliche answer, but I'm going Connor McDavid. Favorite of all time is probably Mario Lemieux. Probably Mario Lemieux. I in his prime. Again, that's probably a somewhat lame answer, although certainly was not. I mean, he's behind Gretzky, Hull, weekend, whatever. But Lemieux was probably my favorite. I was a big Yzerman, Fedorov, Paul Kariya. Who was the other one? Teemu Solani. Solani and Kariya were two of my like underrated, like big time favorites growing up. Loved both of those guys a lot. And then Yzerman, Fedorov, Crosby. Who was the Washington guy? I'm trying to blank on his name now too. Whatever. Yeah, those guys, all a fan of. But I'll go Solani and Kariya as my co-favorites. I'll go with those two. Mike Wallace McDuffie at 88. He might. The coaches continue to praise Monk. I have no idea where the hesitancy comes from. Meaning, maybe from the comment before. Yeah, they like him for sure. Hopefully it turns out. Hopefully it can be awesome. Holy potatoes. All right. Anonymous donated 10. Will Carroll donated 50. And David Paxton with 180. And Sea Biscuits and Gravy with 20. We are up to $2,586. We made it. The goal is reached over 2,500. Our initial goal was 1,000. So thank you guys. I'm not going to update the goal anymore. Again, I've got 12 more minutes left here, but freaking awesome. And again, I'll donate any of the jewel money we made from today and any of the ad revenue that we made from today as well. But over $2,500 raised. And my guess is we probably get pretty close to 3,000 on that in total money donated. So just absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. Beast Bumblebee with another 14. Thank you, Beast. That brings it to 2,600. Yeah, the 3 deep safeties. I have not seen 3 deep safeties so far. 3 true safeties I have not seen. Safeties was one of the safeties on prevent. I did talk about that, yes. But this is where I say we have not seen 3 deep safeties. There may have been another linebacker that was out there in a similar look today. May have been. GB Gary, glad to hear you're a hat guy too. What would you like the Packers to do for their rivalry uniforms? I know you're not a big alternate uniform guy, but wonder what your idea of one. I am the absolute last person to ask about this. So I cannot visualize things like that. My brain does not work that way. I cannot think of like what colors would go together in the right way and what should be on them and it's like, I can't do it. I'm not an art guy. I'm not a design guy. Just the worst of my abilities in one. So A, I don't care. And I just hope they're cool. And B, I'm not the right guy to ask in general. So I will let you guys would have much better takes on that than I would. Definitely sucks for Baldwin. I know how much you talked about him last week. Do you think he could return once healthy? Always a chance. Never say never in this business. Absolutely never say never. Nixon was really taking second team reps for sure. Ignore the fact he's glass in there. Wait, what? Ignoring the fact he's glass. Is there a chance Lloyd is Pro Bowler type player this year? No, not Pro Bowl type. A lot of good running backs out there. Even if he had like a 1,200 yard, 12 touchdown season, it's tough to get to that Pro Bowl level in your first year when you've done anything. It's kind of like a lifetime achievement award sometimes. Belton was a tackle in college, correct? If you could only choose to reach their full potential, who would you prefer, Morgan or LVN? LVN. I think LVN has freaky potential. So I think LVN's like a top 5 edge rusher if he reached his full potential. I think Morgan's just a really good starter if he reached his full potential. Packers YouTuber charity streams. Has anyone ever seen Andy and Tom Grassi in the room at the same time? They have. We've definitely been together before, but no, I'm nowhere near on the level that Grassi is with that stuff. That's for sure. Although Wooden last year, is Brinson noticeably bulked up as an option at nose tackle? Was he more of a 3-tech? He was more of a 3-tech last year. They've been moving all those guys around. Wyatt was at nose tackle today, by the way, for what it's worth. But I haven't seen a noticeable increase in anything, but I could just be missing it too. Ooh, I almost made it to the end of the chats too. Look at this freaking timing. Concern over the O-line shuffle in recent days. Saw the 10 years of the world pointing at the Belton news as proof that only deluded cheeseheads don't realize we won't be bottom feeders this season. Yeah, I'm not concerned about that at the moment. I do think right guard is a big question. I do think the offensive line has been the big thing I've been talking about all off season, but I'm not to the point yet where it's a major concern. I just need to see a little bit more. And I still think that Tom, Ryan, Banks, and Morgan can be more than good enough. And the right guard spot is still very much a work in progress. Anyone else having issues donating? Trying on the YouTube mobile app and keeps getting oops, something wrong notification. Smooterino, you've donated $17 million. It keeps going through. I don't know. Everyone else seems to be doing okay. Donating, we're at 2,600 overall, but I'm sorry you're having trouble with it. We figured it out, Andy. Trey Smack needed the crowd. He can't kick without it. He's going to be the best kicker of all time. Everything's okay. What was he? 8 of 9 at family night, I think, which is fine. What is that? 88.8%. Which is an okay amount, but he still missed one. It wasn't like it was like, if he would have been like 10 of 10 on the night at Lambeau, I'd be like, all right, now we're trending somewhere. But he still missed one. It was still like an acceptable level, but it wasn't like he was like perfect by any means. I don't know. And he missed one today. And I know it wasn't in front of a crowd or whatever, but he was inside too. No conditions, no crowd, no noise, no pressure. Doinked it today. Let's see. What does the offense need to do week 1 to get the ball rolling? Score a lot of points. Block up front. Win in the trenches. Honestly, win in the trenches. To go off the hockey question, who's your favorite wrestler and favorite tag team? Favorite wrestler right now is Will Ospreay. Favorite tag team right now? That's a better question. I might probably still go FTR right now. They're just so freaking good. I know they're not technically wrestling right now. They're taking a little bit of time off, but might still go FTR. They're just perfect at what they do. Favorite of all time is Kurt Angle, though. Favorite tag team of all time? That I need a little bit more time to think. Actually, my favorite tag team of all time might be the Lucha Brothers. Might be Penta and Phoenix. Watching them was always a joy. Got to see them at the Dark match in Green Bay. They wrestled together as the Lucha Brothers, which is really fun. So Lucha Brothers all time. Probably FTR right now. I really like what Edge and Christian are still doing right now too. Props to them. Well, I know it's Cope and Christian, but you get my point. And then, Angle is my favorite of all time. Ospreay right now. Some comments might have been made about Jordan's throw to Sky that he dropped. To me, he threw that low ball to try to protect Sky from a collision because he had defenders crashing in. Easily could have been the case, Ben. I thought the same thing at the time. I don't know if it was or not. Tough to say, but I think that definitely was a possibility. Love this charity experience. The crazy tornado in 2011 in Joplin, Missouri made this easy to help reach the goal. Thank you, Andy. Awesome. Appreciate you, David. Sorry that you had to go through that in 2011, but they're devastating. We saw that very, very close to home here in Menasha and Appleton, and glad we were able to do a little bit of good today to help raise some money for that. Cooper can do it all. He can even save our corner room. Well, right now he's hurt, so he can't do that either, but he's a hell of a player. Sorry for glazing Burden. I know I talked about him earlier. You must be a little bit behind, Holmes, but he's going to be a really good player. He's going to be a tough one to defend. I don't know if it's been talked about or not, but any idea how Van Ness will be as a rusher standing up more instead of handing the dirt? Van Ness looks like Van Ness to me. I know others have said that they've seen a big jump. I haven't seen it. I think if you kind of listen to Matt LaFleur's answer today too, I think he's kind of the same of like, hey, there's still work to do. I think he's good. I certainly don't think he's number one edge rusher good. I think he has a chance to be that number two edge rusher with Micah being the one and be pretty good at it. But I still think that there's a lot of work to do for LVN, and I'm not ready to pronounce any breakouts. I'll just put it that way. And I think he's going to be, again, I think what we've seen so far. And again, I thought LVN took a little bit of a step last year. I truly do. I think he's in that same place where he was last year. I just don't see any additional crazy step that he has made. But I hope I'm wrong. Micah has. Micah's smarter than me when it comes to that stuff. So hopefully Micah's right and I'm wrong. I would be a bad nose tackle. Why am I in the ocean right now? And what the heck is that thing over there? I don't know. Get it corrected, Frank. Who's Tom? Oh, sorry, my bad. Bako Boele. He missed one kick from 50 plus. Yeah, for sure. I can live with that as well. Until that one kick from 50 plus is a game winner or a game loser, etc. But it was a much better. It was a sign of progress. I will give him as much. It also was like 56. I'd be fine. 51. Little less forgiveness there. He's going to be great. Okay. I hope you're right. Yeah, we talked about Zeitler. If you wanted to sign Zeitler and make him the true starter and give him like a 1 year, 10 million, 1 year, 8 million, maybe, I would be all for it. I've talked about this for a while. I think it would make a lot of sense. I think it'd make a ton of sense. So if they were willing to do that and Zeitler was willing to sign and be with this team, I would do it too. Because I think if you can go Banks and Zeitler at guard, Ryan at center with Bako Boele and Morgan at tackle, I feel better about the line. And now you've got a true like backup situation with Monk and like I probably just work Burton at center and Monk at the two guard positions, Kennard at one tackle and Belton at I'd probably work Kennard at left tackle and Belton at right tackle. And I feel good. I have 9 guys now, and I probably keep John Williams as my 10th. Keep a couple guys on the practice squad like Wade and one of the other ones. I don't pick whatever one you want. And I feel really good about the O-line. So I don't disagree with you at all, Nine Lives. Like I've talked about earlier, I think it's going to take a good contract and a clear starting spot for him to sign somewhere. But I have no issue doing that if I'm Green Bay. He obviously has to be in shape. He has to want to be here. He has to want to be ready to go and all of that stuff. And I don't know where Zeitler's at. But if they could get him and right now just name him the starting right guard, sign me the hell up. I would be all for that as well. Yeah, we'll move on. How many away game and home games do we have? We have the Packers have 9 home games, 8 away games, right? And they don't have a. Yeah. This is the year. It's you're confusing me now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 away games, 9 home games. This is the first year. Isn't this like the first year that they actually get the benefit of the 9 true home games? Maybe it was 2 years ago too. But yeah, 9 true home games this year. What's the difference between NFL Plus and NFL Sunday Ticket? NFL Plus gives you the condensed version of the game, all 22, and I think preseason games as well. And Sunday Ticket gives you the ability to watch all the games on YouTube TV. So two totally different products. I do have Sunday Ticket as well. That's another subscription I have. Vanessa and Belton are 2 players I'm highly disappointed in. Let's see what the season brings. Sea Biscuits and Gravy, thank you for the $20. Smooterino, thank you for the 5. Mega Fan, thank you for the 5. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Andy. Love what you've done today, and thanks for answering my question. You're more than welcome, Sea Biscuits. What's the size difference between Burton and Belton? May be simple, but I like bigger for inside linemen. Big difference. Very big difference. Belton is like 330 and Burton's like 305. Belton is 336 and Burton is 312. So a 24-pound difference. 24-pound difference. Belton is very young, for sure. No, for whatever it's worth, and in case anyone's confused, I'm not writing Belton off by any stretch of the imagination. I still think he can be a good player. Just he's had a little bit of a rough start to camp. I do think 7 wide receivers on the 53 is realistic. Absolutely. I think this is the first time they've actually had 9. I think the other year they had a home game in England. I think 2 years ago they had 9 because I think they had 9 and then I think they had the neutral game in Brazil. So I think it was like 9 and then they only had 7 true away games and then 1 neutral game. So it actually kind of set up well for them. I think that was 2 years ago. I think I might be right on that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Finally got through via desktop. Thanks for doing this, Andy. Awesome, Smooterino. Glad you were able to get in. Sorry it wasn't working on mobile. Hoping LVN can become a solid edge rusher. I think he's going to be a solid edge rusher no matter what. And I definitely don't think there's going to be like a situation where LVN's just like bad, but it's just how good can he get? I think that remains the real true question. Got to give him time. Way too early to tell. Totally agreed. What's something about Green Bay we don't know? I don't know. It's awesome. I love it. Been home for forever, basically. 4.5 years at college in Oshkosh, 1.5 years at Madison. And other than that, Green Bay and surrounding area has been my home basically my entire life. So it's awesome. I love it. I guess some people get confused sometimes that Green Bay is just like constantly cold. We have a true 4 seasons. I mean, it is hot as hell a lot of times in summer and very, very muggy, very humid. And then fall and spring are, a lot of really fun, like 50 and 60 degree weather. And then winter is cold as shit. So yeah, we definitely have that as well. But we have a true 4 seasons. I have to look a little bit more on Keyshawn Johnson, but obviously he was the player that they picked up today. When you draft a player in the second, you have to hope they can contribute positively right away, especially when you're competing for a championship. Yeah, we all know Green Bay doesn't always view it the exact same way, right? Green Bay wants players that they can get, that they can develop into what they think are going to be big time players. And sometimes they hit on those, sometimes they miss on those, but they view it certainly a little bit differently, where it doesn't have to be somebody who can come in and be dominant right away. And they're willing to give a little bit more time for those guys to develop, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But that's certainly their way of doing things. Wisconsin weather can be very bipolar as well. That is very true also. All right, friends, we did it. $2,630 raised towards charity, United Way of the Fox Cities. So happy for them. I know it will go towards a great cause. You can donate to them online as well if you want to look it up. Huge shout out to YouTube for turning this around right away to get that money raised, which is really, really cool. At just getting the United Way of Fox Cities in there right away so we could do this. Cannot thank you enough. It's been a ton of fun. That was like the quickest 2 hours ever. Actually, the Micah 2 hours was probably the quickest 2 hours ever. That was like the quickest 4 hours ever. But this is a really quick 2 hours. Went really, really fast. You guys had great questions. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the donations and the money. I will be adding, again, whatever we make from ad revenue for today and any of the jewel revenue or anything that this show made today. I will be donating that separately to the United Way of the Fox Cities as well. So thank you so much. I will see you guys right back here tomorrow. There will be a live show following practice tomorrow. So see you live at 2 p.m. I think it's going to be 2 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. So adjust your calendar accordingly. 2 p.m. on Tuesday, I believe, as well. So adjust your calendar accordingly for that as well. And then, of course, tomorrow's show will be breaking down everything that happened at practice today. Looking forward to that. There was actually a lot that took place. See you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.